we're about to conclude the program. We would like to ask one more student to share with us his journey, and that is a student who has been through many different stages of his learning program, and now married and with a child. They are really moving ahead in the step of the Jewish people. But he'll share with us a bit of his journey. With no further ado, Rabbi Gavriel Wood Isenberg.
Good afternoon. So I know we've been sitting through quite a few speakers so far, so I don't want to take too much of your time. I know that it's been it's quite the morning and quite a roller coaster in terms of emotional. Thank you for sharing that story. It's really powerful. So I was asked to come up and share a little bit about my journey and my story. So where I've been, where I am, and where I'm going. So, firstly, I want to wish all the fathers here a happy Father's Day. This is actually my first Father's Day also. So my journey started, obviously, I want to first give a huge shout out and thank you to my mother who's here. She came all the way from Colorado. So my journey really starts with her. I grew up in Philadelphia, Lower Merion, Ballackinwood, Wynwood, Gladwin. We moved around a little bit. So I grew up in a loving, caring home with fantastic, wonderful parents who truly cared for their children. My brother is also here as well, with his wife and baby. And when we were growing up, the home was very important. Family was very important. Judaism was extremely important. I, Baruch Hashem, had the unbelievable gift to be able to go to Jewish schools as a child, all the way from K through 8. I went to Hebrew high school as well, and I was able to go to a fantastic camp where I made some of the best friends in my life and still have them to this day, at Camp Ramah in the Poconos. And Judaism was always extremely important to us. We would always get together every Friday night for lighting candles, making kiddush, and having a meal together. I remember if I wanted to go out on Friday night, I had to write up essentially an essay explaining why I had a good reason why I wasn't going to be home for the meal. And then we would go to synagogue on Saturday morning. And when I was a kid, we were going to synagogue. You could bring your toys, but you were coming. And that was extremely powerful for me. And I, Baruch Hashem, was able to, with the help of my mother and my father, to really take a leadership role in my community, even as a child, and be able to read from the Torah in synagogue and to daven for everybody in the synagogue on Saturday morning. I was kind of the oddball. There weren't a lot of 13-year-olds in our community that would do that kind of stuff. And, the elder members of the synagogue were a little bit pleasantly surprised, but I was very involved, and I attribute that a lot to my parents' focus on my passion for Judaism. And so fast forward a little bit, I ended up going to college with a deep love and appreciation for Judaism and a desire to learn more. And I got to Arizona State University, where we moved when I was 12 years old. And there, my life changed in an incredible way. I met Rabbi Shmuel and Chana Teichtel, the shluchim at Chabad at ASU. And I found a place to ask my questions. I found a place to be proud of who I was. I found a place to connect to other people on that. And it opened my eyes to a whole new reality of Judaism. And that was the light of Chassidus. The light of the Hasidic philosophy, the Jewish philosophy and how a Jew is meant to be in this world and how he's able to make an impact. I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that had an impact on me going into the Chabad house, which talking with my mother over Shabbos was a big part of how she decided to make sure that we had a strong Jewish upbringing, was the joy that was associated with Judaism. At the Chabad house, first Shabbos there, my brother brought me there. He was a senior when I was a freshman at the same school. Brought me there, we're dancing on the chairs and we're singing Oseh Shalom and Hinei Matov, and I was like, wow, this place is amazing. I'm coming back here. And I never left. College, I was constantly growing and learning more. I ended up in Yeshiva Or Sameach in Jerusalem my freshman year summer. Learned a lot there, came back, got more involved in Chabad, ended up becoming the student coordinator of Sinai Scholars and the student president on campus. And I attribute that to my wonderful, amazing rabbi in Rebbitzin at ASU. And then the journey took another turn. I graduated in 2013, and 2 weeks later I was on a plane for the Rabbinical College of America. And yes, that was 4 years ago, and I'm standing here today, and after 4 years, we'll get into a little bit of the details, I, Baruch Hashem, have gotten married while I've been in Morristown. I've had, Baruch Hashem, a son 3 months ago, Menachem Mendel, and just graduated Smicha. And I, Baruch Hashem, in the past 4 years, have made my way through every single one of the rabbi's classes, which is an absolutely incredible thing. I have to take a second, or a lot more than a second. I really can't put it into words, but my deep appreciation to all the rabbis of Tiferes Bachurim for their unceasing love and care for every single student that walks in these doors, and their time that they put into them, and the energy that they put into them, and their constant interest in how we're developing and how we're doing and how they can help us to develop more. It's a remarkable, remarkable thing. I'll share with you a thought that we were talking about over the Shabbos table this past Shabbos. We're talking about the meaning of the Torah, and when something makes its way into the Torah is because it has a lesson to teach us. If it's in the black print on the page, it has a lesson to teach us. And every single thing in Torah has a lesson. And so, that's a lot of the time, this is how we focus on Jewish learning. We focus on the black print. We focus on what are the words saying, what do they mean, how do I understand them, and, what do I do with it? And that's really important. And that's what is the meat and bones of Judaism, is taking Torah and trying to understand it and trying to think about what it means. But I'd like to share a beautiful thought that my mother shared by the table, that Judaism is very much about the black ink, but it's very much about the space in between the lines as well. And what that means is like this. A person goes through yeshiva, and they can go through many of the words. And I've been through quite a few words. I've been through, in Rabbi Dick's class, I went through 2 full Masechtas of Gemara, and I went through another 4 prakim of Bava Kama. That's a lot of pages of Gemara. And in Rabbi Wagner's class, I went through the entire Masechta of Pesachim. And I, Baruch Hashem, have, not just in terms of kamos, not just in terms of quantity, but qualitatively, every single journey, every single class has a whole new quality of learning to integrate into my life, into our lives. And what can happen with that is the words remain in our head, and they remain on a superficial level. And a student in yeshiva here can spit back the words that he's learning, and he can share what he's learning. But it's not just about the black ink. It's the space that's in between the lines. It's where does my journey fit into these words? What does this mean to me? How can I make this a part of my life and allow it to change me? How can I make it something that's important, that's valuable? Where's my personal connection to these words? And that's the space in between the lines. And that is what I feel this yeshiva excels at, as stellar and the rabbis are constantly giving of themselves to allow the students to do that themselves. So today is Father's Day. So happy Father's Day. My brother and I were talking earlier today what it means to be a father. What is Father's Day all about? And I don't know from much experience. I'm only a 3-month-old father. But I guess I have some kind of right to share something because I have some kind of experience. But being a father, I was thinking about it, is really this space in between the lines. Being a father means allowing our children to grow, allowing our children to have the space to become their own people. And I can imagine, I don't know a lot of the stories of the parents that are here today and the students of those parents, how they're, you have as a family grown in this process, but I can imagine it's a different decision than the way that you raised your sons. It's maybe a different angle, or maybe it's a completely different life. It could be. But I think that this is not a coincidence that this event is on Father's Day, because this is really the celebration of parents here. To allow your children to come to a place like this, whether it be a similar way of reasoning and logic and understanding of the world, whether it be a completely different understanding and logic of the world, but allowing your child to become themselves, to tap into who they are, to look at that white space and say, who am I? What am I doing with this? What does this mean to me? And the most important question, how can I use this and change the world? And that, I think, is extremely incredible, that your sons are able to be here and that you allow them the space and the support to do that journey. And I will tell you that I am extremely indebted to my parents for their willingness and support in my journey to be able to be where I am today. And the last point is that we all have one Father. This is really what it means to be a Jew, is to recognize that every Jew really has one Father above. And that's Hashem, that's God. And what that means is every single Jew is really a brother and a sister of each other. We're all really one family. But it's even deeper than that. And that's a beautiful thing in and of itself, and if only we were to see every single Jew who we met as being that close to us as a brother or a sister, that that love that never ceases, that just, a connection that a brother and sister have, but it's even deeper. Because every single Jew has a soul. Every Jew has a neshama, a little neshamaleh. And that neshamaleh is completely one with every single other Jew. The only thing that makes us two separate people, the only thing that makes us even separate at all, is the fact that we have another soul, which is called the animal soul, the vitalizing soul, which means there's differentiation. And that's the pleasure-seeking aspect of a person. But if it were really up to neshamas, all the neshamas, if you asked a neshama, who's your best friend? They'd say everybody. What do you mean? Every single neshama is really one with the other one. And so this special event today, us coming together, is an expression of really what Father's Day means. Is really that we're all coming together to connect to each other and to celebrate our accomplishments, the accomplishments of our children or of our siblings or of our friends. And we should allow that to bring us closer together. And I really cannot, again, thank the yeshiva enough for all of their efforts to make sure that the students, when they leave this place, are able to say something like that, wow, every single Jew is my family. Every single Jew is me. And I can leave this place and I can make an instant connection with any Jew that I've experienced. We heard some of the stories from the students earlier today about meeting students on the bus and meeting students in the hospital, Jews. So, l'chaim everyone. L'chaim. I want to wish a big mazel tov again to all those that have graduated smicha. I am extremely humbled to be in the presence of so many incredible chassidim, to be able to go through that journey together. And I want to wish everyone much happiness and success, unity love, care, and respect for every other Jew. L'chaim.
Thank you so much, Gavriel. Gavriel's journey is not over, it's just beginning. And who knows where he'll go next. And we all await to hear whatever the next leg of your journey will be, and we will laud you for that. We are about to do the benching, the grace after meal, following which we'll ask all the graduates to come up to have a picture with Rabbi Levin and Rabbi Wagner, each individually with their family, with their respective rabbis. Before we bench, I just want to make a special mention that we may have missed. We are very privileged to have an unbelievable group of rabbis, and I do want to just make a special mention of Rabbi Brofman and Rabbi Dick, who give countless hours to every single student, and they really give of their heart and soul, of their family, of their time. And there is, we must, honest to God, say that these are the people who are changing lives every single day. And last but not least, I want to make mention of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He's the one who inspired the establishment of the entire institution and of all of the Chabad institutions around the world, and gave the name to this yeshiva. And we all try to live up to his standards and make him proud, and I hope we continue to do so. Thank you so much. Benching will begin in 1 minute.